Hello everybody, I hope everyone is doing well and welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing my January roundup. Yes, it is that time once again. I cannot believe how fast these months are going by. So if you're newer to my channel, I love doing these monthly roundups to give you my updated thoughts on all of the new products I brought in during the course of the month. I feel like I can give you a better, well-rounded opinion and review on the products since I tested them over the course of a couple weeks. So I have 3 categories here that I'm going to be going through. The first are the products I love the most, the ones I recommend, pretty much the ones that get my stamp of approval. Then following that, I go into my liked categories, which are the products that did perform pretty well, but I do have a few critiques or a few concerns, if you will. And then the third and final category are my disappointments and my dislikes. So those are the products I will no longer be using or products that were just simply unremarkable. So before we get into it, I would love for you to subscribe if you aren't already. It means so much to me, and let's get to it. I'm first going to start off with the products I love the most. I love starting videos on a positive note. So the first products I want to talk about are these Wet n Wild Mega Last High Shine Brilliance lipsticks. These aren't new to me, but they're new to my channel. I've been using a couple of these colors for the last couple months, kind of off camera actually. I don't know why I never featured them into one of my videos, but this month I finally did. These are beautiful sheer lipsticks. Here, I'll swatch a few on my hand here. I find that they really stand out because you can build them up to a more pigmented state, or you can just wear a really sheer amount. I really love this formula because it is quite impactful, but it is still sheer. I find that there's a lot of these sheer lipsticks or tinted lip balms that are coming to the market, and they have such a little amount of color through them that they all look the same, or once you actually put them on the lips, it just looks like a normal clear see-through lip balm. But these are very unique because they have that sheerness to them and that beautiful shine, but they still give you a little something something on your lips. This is a fantastic formula, and I find that it performs just as well as the higher end sheer lipsticks that I have in my collection. I've honestly been reaching for these more often so than my more pricey ones. So highly recommend, and they also have an incredible shade range. Super fun tones, very neutral ones. It's great. There's something for everyone in there. So the next product I want to talk about is this Dior Skin Mineral Nude Bronzer. I have the shade 02. This is a very beautiful bronzer. I love its formula. It blends out super seamlessly, and I love how it's customizable. I feel like I'll be able to pull this out at all times of the year, at all stages of my skin tone. For example, right now I mostly dip into the shade on the edge, but in the summer I'm sure I'll be able to mix into a little bit of the center just to deepen up that color to match my tanned skin. This formula is very, very reliable and very easy to blend out, and it also adds like a really nice sheen to your skin too. It's not super matte, but it also doesn't have a noticeable pearl or shimmer in there whatsoever. This is just a beautiful solid bronzer, and I would recommend it. Plus the packaging just looks like a little cushion. It's so cute. I've been reaching for this one a lot recently, and I'm just noticing here there's a little hole that you can punch out the pan itself, so I wonder if this is refillable. I'm not really sure. I'll have to take a look at that, but this is a really great bronzer. Moving along, this beautiful brand came out this month, which is Auric, and I have been using these products like crazy. I'm wearing Defiance on my eyes right now, and the Glow Lust and Selenite as my underneath highlight and highlighter today. I just have been adoring these products. I'll first talk about the Glow Lust here. I have been using this every time I do my makeup ever since I did my initial review, and I haven't had any issues at all with it. My favorite way to use it is on the high points of my cheeks under my foundation, as well as a normal liquid highlighter. I love the effect. I love its texture. It's a lot more dewy than the Charlotte Tilbury one. I still adore the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, don't get me wrong, but I do find that there are some noticeable differences between the two formulas. This one just has more of a dewy feel, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury one is more glimmery. I did mention that in one of my recent videos as well, and I also swatched them side by side in my initial review of Auric, if you missed out on that. But I would totally recommend these products if you are someone who loves to look very dewy and glowy at the same time. And this product is great because there's so many usages. You can use it as a primer mixed in with your serums. You can use it as a highlighter or underneath highlighter, glow booster, anything. Hello everyone, editing me here. Look at this bun. It's so voluminous. I did get a phone call in the middle of me talking about the Glow Lust, and I definitely lost my train of thought, so I wanted to come in here and just add a couple more things. I did test out the Glow Lust with a bunch of my other favorite foundations, and I've never run into any issues whatsoever. It never made my foundation break up or look weird at all. I've actually never run into any issues personally. I've been enjoying mixing a little bit of a pump into my more matte foundations if I want to add a little bit more glow. I've personally been really excited about the product. It's probably going to be one of those products I'm never going to be able to shut up about, and it's always going to be on my channel and you guys get annoyed of it and I'll have to hide it at some point. It's just a product that matches my preferences perfectly, and I've been really enjoying my experience with it this far. So now I'm going to go over the eyeshadows here, and I really love these. They're really quick to apply. My favorite shade has been Ego because it is very unique. I love its gunmetal tone, but it also has a little bit of green in there, and I feel like it complements my skin tone as well as my eye color really well. And I have found a better way to apply it. In my initial review, I went in very slowly because I was worried it was going to be very pigmented. My favorite way to apply these is with a flatter brush, and you start off by applying it to the lid first and then slowly building it up, and then you'll take a fluffy brush and then blend it out further to diffuse it into the crease. I did film this look for an IGTV, and I did that technique in that IGTV. So if you want to see that technique in action, you can totally check that out. But definitely the first time I used it, the product kind of dried out on my brush because I took such a sheer amount. So it didn't end up as smooth as I would like it. But ever since I switched up my technique, it works a lot better. This cream texture is very unique. It almost feels moussey. So when you dip your brush into it, you don't overload your brush at all. You kind of have to mix it up in there, saturate your brush, and then go in and you have the perfect amount. It doesn't oversaturate your brush at all. And speaking about the pressed powder, it's so gorgeous. I love these types of shadows that are a little bit more sheer but have a very impactful sheen. When you use this alone on the eye, it almost looks glossy, which I adore. And when the glitters hit the sunlight, it's such a pretty sheen. I have been loving these for an everyday look. I do have very oily lids, as I say all the time, and I have never experienced any creasing. They really stick onto your eyes all day. These shadows are actually very user-friendly, I'd say. So moving on, I purchased a few things from Gucci Beauty because they recently launched a new foundation, and I wanted to do a little is it worth it kind of video. And this hurts my soul, but the bronzer is one of the most beautiful bronzers I have ever tried out, which sucks because it is so expensive, but I think it's going to last me a very long time. First of all, this packaging is so beautiful, and when you open it up, it just looks like a little compact from the olden days. And the powder in here is beautiful. I bought the shade number 2, but you guys told me is actually deeper than number 3, which is kind of funny, but I don't know. But this formula is stunning. It's very impactful, but it's very easy to blend out. And it also has a beautiful glow running through it, so it gives a satin effect to your cheeks. I'm wearing this bronzer today, and I feel like it suits my skin tone perfectly, actually. And I will for sure be able to wear this during the summertime. I just dip my brush very lightly in here, and I get such good payoff. And if you've had your eyes on it, or if you are a makeup lover, I'd recommend it. It's a beautiful product through and through. And I also discovered that once you finish this pan, you can buy a refill instead of repurchasing this entire compact, which I love. I love to see that. I think out of all of the Gucci products I tried out, I'd recommend this one the most. Another favorite from that video was the lipstick. I thought this was going to be just an okay product going into that video, but I couldn't believe how well this lasted throughout the day. I just applied it once and it lasted however many hours my wear test was. And I ate pizza, I had salad, I had soup with noodles in it, and nothing transferred. Usually when I eat with a lipstick, especially a red one, I always get transfer right here from my lip touching my chin when I eat, but that didn't happen at all. It stayed put on my lips. Of course, at the end of the day, it could have gone for a fresh new layer, but it was still there and it wasn't patchy or crumbly at all. It was pretty incredible. It didn't stain my lips at all either, so it just was a really long-lasting bullet lipstick. I don't know what to tell you. And it has such a nice, smooth application, no patchiness whatsoever. Super high quality lipstick, which is nice since it is quite pricey. But it's really nice to see that when you're purchasing from Gucci Beauty, you're not just paying for nice packaging, the name, and just an average formula. You're actually paying for the packaging, the name, and a really amazing formula. So I was highly impressed. So now moving on to a collection that took me by surprise, and that was the Rare Beauty Stay Vulnerable collection. I wasn't expecting these formulas to be that different from other products I've seen come out recently. All of these products were beautiful. First, starting off with the blushes. These took me by surprise the most. I cannot believe how long wearing these are. I'm wearing the shade Nearly Neutral on my cheeks right now. I think this is the color I would wear the most. And the other color I have been reaching for is Nearly Apricot. Those are the two color families from this collection that I've been reaching for most often. Over the course of the last little while, there's so many brands that have been releasing cream blushes, and I feel like as time goes on, a lot of them have been kind of similar formulas. They just have different colors. But this one has a very unique formula. They're called the Melting Blushes, and I recently discovered why, because right now you can see how it kind of has like a matte film. Take that very lightly, it doesn't like crumble up or anything. And then once you start swatching it, it turns into this really creamy, glossy texture. It's really interesting, but once you start applying it to your skin, you can feel it turning into a powder, which is so nice. But once it's on your cheeks, it doesn't look like a normal powdered blush. It still has a really nice creamy glow running through it, but it stays put so well. And when I was filming my original review and while I was filming the swatches for that video, I did feel my other cream blushes compared to this one, and all the other cream blushes have a little bit of a resistance to it, whereas this texture right here has a really interesting slip to it. Like there's no resistance at all. Every time I say resistance, I think of Star Wars. I cannot. The resistance. Anyways, in that same collection, they launched some liquid shadows. Before this formula, I have never been a fan of any liquid shadows. I always found that they accentuated my eye texture a lot, or they really grabbed on to my texture. They made my eyelids look a little crepey, or they would crease a ton on me. The only liquid shadows in the past that would work for me were ones that have like a pearlescence or a sheen or a glitter running through them. I never came across a matte formula that worked for me until these came around. The colors are beautiful and soft, but they remain impactful. They blend out super seamlessly and effortlessly. I tested these out with a multitude of brushes, and every time I had really great results. They built up nicely. I never had any crepey issues. I didn't run into any patchiness issues as well. Once you blend them onto your eyes, they kind of turn into a powder, and it just feels like you're blending out a normal powder eyeshadow. But these were extremely long wearing, and they lasted on me all day. I do always prime my eyes with the Fenty Beauty eye primer. Even so, I do still run into some creasing issues time to time, but with these, I didn't run into that at all. And once these are on your eyelids too, they give like a really nice diffused velvety look too. I really love the finish. And the last products that were in that collection are these glossy lip balms. And if you are familiar with the JULIAA, I forget what these are called, Balmy Gloss. I find these to be very similar products. The only difference is definitely the shade range. I find that JULIAA has more of a vibrant shade selection, whereas Rare, they're very soft and natural looking. So it just depends on what colors you are more drawn to, but I do really like this texture. A lot of you were wondering how they compared to the Tower 28, and I find them to be very different products because the Tower 28 glosses give more of a glass-like appearance to your lips, and they feel more like a liquid gel, whereas these definitely feel like a liquefied balm. So they do have that really nourishing texture to them. So I do find them to be quite different from each other, but I still really love this formula, and I have been using the shade Nearly Neutral pretty much every day. I could go for another layer right now, actually. It has a really nice formula. It feels a little thicker, but it's not sticky whatsoever, but it feels very nourishing all at once. And it also adds a really nice tint of color that actually appears on your lips. It has enough oomph in there, that's for sure. So now moving on to my second category here. I'm first going to start off with the other Gucci Beauty products. The first one I want to talk about is the foundation. I am wearing it today. I have had such a positive experience with this foundation. My only concern is that when I do have my drier days, I find that it looks like it's kind of sitting on top of my skin in some areas. So I will say if you have a drier skin type, I wouldn't invest in this foundation because I do feel like it won't flatter your skin as well as other foundations could. And for me personally, I don't know if it compares to a lot of my other favorite foundations. Ones that I prefer over this that come to mind right now are definitely the Bobbi Brown Intensive Skin Serum, the M Cosmetics Cushion Foundation, Milani's Green Queen, the Guerlain L'Essentiel. I feel like I will reach for this often, but it's not a foundation that I'm like, oh my god, it's life-changing, my skin looks the best it's ever been. But with that being said, it is a pretty good foundation. Not the best I've ever experienced, but pretty good. For me personally, I feel like I didn't waste my money on this. I know I will get a good use out of this product. I just feel like there are some better formulas out there that I'd reach for more often or recommend to you guys more so than this one. And the last product from Gucci Beauty that I tried out was their mascara, and at first I wasn't a super fan of it because it is more of a lengthening and separating one, and for my preferences I love something that's lengthening, volumizing, and separating, and this doesn't really have that volume aspect at all, but I have kind of adjusted the way I apply it, and once I apply the initial layer, I'll go in and kind of wiggle my brush near the root of my lashes to add some volume, and it's stunning. I've had nothing but a positive experience with this. I just feel like after I use it up, I won't be repurchasing it just because it is a little pricey and something that doesn't suit my preferences that well. I will enjoy its presence now that I have it, and I'll use it a ton. I do prefer the NARS Climax Extreme, the Marc Jacobs At Lash Mascara, the Ilia one, or the Pat McGrath mascaras. I would repurchase those for sure over this one, but that's just my personal preferences when it comes to my mascaras. If you are someone who loves a good separating and lengthening mascara, I think you would love this one. I've never experienced any crumbling or raccooning at all. The one issue I've had is that it does kind of transfer on my lower lashes when I wore it down there, but that is why I use the M Cosmetics Pick Me Up on my bottom lashes every day. I feel like all of my mascaras do that anyways, except for when I'm using a tubing mascara. So all in all, it depends on your preference, that's for sure. I'll definitely use it up. The packaging is stunning. The next product I wanted to talk about are the Fenty Beauty Cream Lip Glosses. I did purchase these all myself. I love the colors that she launched. I think they're stunning tones. And I do really like the texture of this gloss. It feels very nourishing. But my only concern with these is that they do tend to bunch up along the edge of your lips the more you talk. And I have found that it settles into the fine lines of my lips a lot. But I did find that that can be avoidable if you really scrape off a lot of the excess product on the tube itself before applying to your lips. But that kind of sucks because you do lose a lot of that pigment and it just leaves a super sheer amount on your lips. So that gathering and settling into the fine lines is avoidable, but I am just a little disappointed in this formula. I feel like it could have been refined a little bit more. I would recommend the Tower 28 Milky Collection over this one for sure, which is too bad because these colors are a little bit more rich, more fall tones, you know, just a little disappointed, but I still will keep them and use them very sparingly on my lips. But yeah, I thought that was important to mention. So the next product I wanted to cover is the Bite Beauty Upswing Mascara. So this mascara, the formula is absolutely beautiful. It gives so much volume, length, and it separates your lashes as well. I love the effect. It's almost worth the issues I have with this product, but I think this is another mascara. Once I finish it, I won't be repurchasing it. Every time I use this, without a doubt, no matter how careful I am, I get it all over my eyeshadow look. And this formula is really hard to flick off. Usually if you get a little mascara onto your eyeshadow or anywhere on your face, you can let it dry completely and take a little spoolie and just flick it off and it's no big deal at all. But I find that this formula settles into whatever you have going on. So it kind of ruins the makeup a little bit. My biggest complaint is definitely that the wand is way too big for my eyes, and I don't have very small eyes either, so I feel like if they had a smaller wand on here, it would have been a lot easier to apply and control. I can't get into my inner lashes very easily. It takes me such a long time to apply this mascara, but the effect of this mascara is absolutely stunning. I'll use it up, but I don't think I'll be repurchasing it. So the last product in this category I feel a little bit torn about. They are the Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter palettes from Charlotte Tilbury. She came out with 3 little quads here. The shadow formula itself is very unique and beautiful. They give a really unique satiny finish to your eyelids that looks very red carpet-esque. This could be just a personal preference thing. You'll have to let me know, but I feel like I can't really create a full look with any of these palettes on their own. So I feel like they could have been a little bit more well curated. I feel like I don't know how much I'll be reaching for these palettes for that reason, and if I do, I feel like I'll have to pull all 3 palettes out to create a look, and that's just not cost effective. I wish this was just in one larger palette, or ultimately I just wish the quads were better refined. I'm holding these kind of weird because I don't want to blind you guys with the reflection. I'm trying to show you the tones in here. But I don't know, I feel very torn and undecided about these. Every time I use some of the shadows, I love the finish of them. They're very unique and they're super easy to use and blend out. It's just something I feel torn and unsure about. I don't know. Let me know if you guys feel the same way about these. I feel like I don't have a concrete opinion about that. I'm sorry guys. So now moving on to my final category here, the products that I was disappointed in or ones that were just unremarkable. So first off, I want to talk about this CoverFX Dewy Skin Primer. This is very, very hydrating and I did not like the texture. I'm not someone who gets weird about texture that often, but this one, there's something about it. I get shivers down my spine. But when you're applying this one, it feels like you're applying the Tower 28 clear gloss all over your face. And it just, I don't know, I don't like that. I didn't like that. And also this product is not suited for my skin type. I have a combo skin type, so I'm more oily in the center of my face and normal everywhere else. And I found that this product didn't do much more than a good moisturizer could. For me, when I use a primer, I love something that's a little bit more glow boosting, that has like a nice pearl running through it, or products that are going to make my makeup last a lot better. For example, like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. So for me, this was a pass. Maybe it'll work for someone else. So following up, this is the Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Fluid Powder Foundation. I like the Intensive Skin Serum from Bobbi Brown a million times more. I found that this foundation was a little too matte and too full coverage for my preferences. And I also noticed the longer I wore it, it kind of started to look cakey on me, and that is the only reason why I dislike this product. It was just more of like an unremarkable foundation, that's for sure. This is the Milk Makeup Lit Highlighter. I thought I was going to really enjoy this product when I swatched it on my hand, but it was just a little too wet of a formula for me. I feel like it would break down my foundation a little bit underneath, and it was just a texture that I didn't super enjoy for a cream highlight. I feel like it moved around a lot, and I didn't like how my hair kind of got stuck into it. Whenever I wore it, it feels like my makeup was going to break up during the day, and I just didn't like it for that reason. Next up, I have the Laura Mercier Translucent Powder. I feel like this is going to be a little controversial, but I didn't like this one. I feel like it made my skin look very cakey. Every time I used it on my face or even under my eyes, I felt like it looked like I was wearing powder, and I don't like that at all. I prefer the Pat McGrath powders a million times more over this one. And the Pat McGrath ones do have a finer milled powder formula too. It looks like it got caught in the humidity. It all is very crumbly and it doesn't dust on your face nicely. It's just way too makeup-y for my preferences. I didn't like how it made me look like I'm wearing makeup on my skin. I know in the past this was like the #1 powder ever. I don't know if that title still remains for this one. Maybe powders have just come a long way since this one. I didn't get the hype at all. Next up, I have this eyeliner pen from Charlotte Tilbury. I had high hopes for this one. Now, on one side, it has a black, normal, flat eyeliner, and on the other, it has like a nice little highlighting pen, so you can use that as your inner corner highlight or your brow bone or whatever you want. I was just shocked. The black side specifically swatches so beautifully, like wow, but when you're actually working with it on the eye, it does anything but what you want it to do. It almost dries immediately when you draw it onto your eye, and there's no working time at all. And usually with those formulas, those ones last really well in your waterline. I have some specific eyeliner pens that I just keep just for the waterline specifically and not to blend out or create an eyeliner with. But this in the waterline immediately started disappearing and crumbling. It was just a disaster. Really hard to work with, not a good quality pencil whatsoever. And the last product I'm going to be talking about is the Bobbi Brown Bronzing Powder, and this one I completely forgot about. I feel like it was an okay formula, but there's nothing about this powder bronzer that struck my interest or made me feel excited about makeup at all. It's just a very average formula, and I feel like there are so many other more interesting bronzing formulas out there that give a really fun look. This just didn't feel unique to me whatsoever. So it was a pass for me. So that was a lot, but that is all for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful. If you did, please give this video a like. It would help me out so very much. I'll make sure to link all of these products in the description down below as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.